Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Head 3, and hopefully you like this video, and that subscribe. But I would say that if talking was a drinking contest, Stephen A. Smith would win it hands down. This guy likes to talk, and talk, and talk. There isn't a microphone he won't talk into. I mean, really. You don't want to see him hanging out in the produce section. He'll be talking into bananas and all this other stuff. But what's interesting is that I guess he got yanked from the NBA Countdown for ESPN. And again, like I said, this guy loves to talk. Let me read you off announcing. Stephen A. I mean, because he has to explain what happened, and I have so much that he said in this. It's actually funny. Stephen A. Smith sets record straight that he was yanked off NBA Countdown. It's off announcing, quote, "I'm a busy man, busy talking." What's the problem? Just go on talking BS. Guys got 20 shows on ESPN plus his podcast. Plus he makes appearances on different shows. Stephen A. Smith opted to give up NBA Countdown when he agreed to his current contract with ESPN, and somehow the aggregate news cycle turned that into him being fired. Skadooshed. Smith will not be a regular contributor to ESPN's NBA Countdown this season. But the decision did not come as a surprise removal or firing. It was a move that was negotiated by Smith before signing his $100 million deal with ESPN last spring. But after waking up to headlines claiming ESPN pulled him from the show, Smith decided to address his status with Countdown. Countdown. This is another show he's on. I'm curious, how much talking does it take to put him and Chris Mad Dog Russo together? Does anybody say anything else on that show? It seems like they're the only ones to talk on that show. And of course, what's the other guy's name? It doesn't matter. Quote, "I'm trying to figure out what the news is here," Smith said on the latest edition of Straight Shooter from Sirius XM. "I had a contract negotiation last year that started in June and ended in March, going into April. It was decided at that particular moment in time that I wouldn't be doing NBA Countdown anymore because I didn't want to. I love doing the show, but after the show's over, I got a whole bunch of other stuff that I got to do. I didn't want to be stuck in the studio until midnight. No shade against ESPN. No shade against my wonderful colleagues. Just get sick of seeing it." Smith went on to cite an increased workload away from ESPN, having a coinciding deal with Sirius XM that has him hosting a daily afternoon show for Mad Dog Sports Radio and a weekly political show on POTUS Radio. This guy is all over the place. And people actually think that he's like some political savant. You know what the hell he's talking about. Additionally, Smith says he's working on more shows, projects, and scripted content for his production company than last year. Quote, "In case you haven't noticed, I got other things on my plate," Smith continued. "I'm a busy man. Just to be clear, I'm always available because once you're working for ESPN, you're part of the family. And if you need me, you're part of the family." It was like a mafia family? I don't think so. "And if they need me for anything, of course, I'll show up. I'll show back up on NBA Countdown. They need me a few dates a year, I'm sure. They need me to be with the crew of Charles Barkley, Kenneth Smith, and Shaq and Ernie. Fine. No, we don't need you there. Those guys do fine on their own. They're great. I mean, these guys talk enough. We don't need a fifth wheel, Quote, "But it was always my intent to come off. It's something I negotiated," Smith insisted. "So just so we're clear, the story is a non-story. This is not some epiphany that everybody's getting attached to that. Oh my God, this just happened. He's being yanked off the show. No, it didn't happen like that. I'm available when needed. And when I'm not needed, I got other stuff to do on my own. That was negotiated last year." Since the official press release announcing the cast of NBA Countdown for the 25-26 season was dropped earlier this week, with no mention of Smith's name, many outlets ran out the omission as if this was an ESPN decision to remove him from the show. That would be misrepresentation of Smith's departure. I love how this article is written, by the way. Like he's, the apologist for Smith. In March, The Athletic's Andrew Marchand reported Smith would no longer be a regular part of NBA Countdown as part of his new contract. And Smith similarly confirmed he was going to be a regular on Countdown on his radio show at the start of this NBA season. There might be skeptics because Smith hasn't historically opted out of any shows or additional airtime, but this wasn't breaking news, and it wasn't ESPN deciding to remove the face of its network from their NBA coverage. I think they kind of want to give Shaq and Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie their own lane. I think that's kind of part of it too, is they didn't want him going in and taking up the space and not shutting up. I mean, really. I mean, like I said, I never see any clips from anybody but him and Mad Dog. Anything that anybody talks about, it's just those two. Those guys don't shut up, like I said. And it seems like they're the only ones that ever say anything. I don't see this sort of, maybe you do, leave comments in the comment section. Tell me what you like about Stephen A. Smith. He doesn't really appeal to me, to be honest with you. He doesn't come across as very smart. He's always yelling and screaming. He doesn't stop talking, If you talk to him about politics, especially if you're somebody that's more of an expert than he is, he doesn't know what he's saying. He isn't really, he seems to be kind of behind a lot of stuff. He reminds me very much, if you're old enough, in Living Color, this character that Damon Wayans played that was in jail, and he didn't quite learn how to use the words properly, and he would make these morph different words together and make their own word. That's kind of what he reminds me of. This was the convict. I can't remember the name of the convict that was on that he played on the show, but that's who Stephen A. Smith reminds me of. Somebody that doesn't stop talking and says all kinds of stuff and keeps talking and talking and talking, and then just finds words that he could put into whatever he's saying. I know he's been around a long time, but I never heard him until a couple years ago. But that's just me, I guess. But let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut 3, and I'll see you later.